Well, we've substituted Frank in. Casey Keller joins us now, former US international. We also welcome to the show another former US international. Hercules Gomez is with us, and for some reason, Sebastian Salazar with us as well. Let's start with you, though, Casey. You take a look at the expectations for the US going in to the tournament.
Well, I think the expectation is simply to advance. I think if you look at the group when it was named, I think immediately you think, okay, England's going to go through. And the U.S. looks at Wales and Iran and goes, yeah, we can beat them. But then at the same time, Wales is thinking, yeah, England's probably going to go through. And yeah, I think we can beat the U.S. and Iran. And Iran's looking at it and going, yeah, England will probably go through. Right. And I think we can get a result against the U.S. and Wales. So, and I think those odds showed it. It basically showed that Wales and the U.S. are dead even on that fight to see who's going to be the second. There's obviously a huge question mark on what's going on in Iran right now. And is that a motivating factor, or is it a deterrent? And it just becomes, you know, something that's just so heavy on the players that they can't really lift themselves to perform. And, you know, in some ways, I know Greg said something in an interview a little while ago that it was, you know, if we play as well as we possibly can and somehow we don't go through, there's still some positives to be taken out of that. And I agree with that. But there's also a point where I look at it and I go, you know what? If you lose to England, not a big deal.
Right. While people like to say, you know what? This team is talented, including Greg Berhalter, who continues to insist on we're going to play out of the back and we're going to play through the midfield and we're going to be able to build. I don't think they have the players to be doing that. And so up until they recognize who they are, who they truly are as a group, and how they can go about winning games at this level, I think they're going to find themselves in trouble if they try to overdo it with the possession in the defensive half and having unnecessary turnovers. As to the answer of Greg Berhalter, where he says, in our best day, we can beat anybody in the world, no. Because you're not taking into consideration that you're playing against somebody else who, at the elite level, they may be playing at their best as well. So the best of the United States does not compete against the best of Brazil, Argentina, England, so on and so forth. When you're talking about the elite knockout stage, the best of the United States is not good enough to beat the best of those other teams. So get out of the group and then hope and pray after that.
Well, let's briefly look at it another way. This sort of tag that Pulisic has from some as Captain America, I mean, I just think it's a nonsense, but it's out there. So he's kind of their leading light.
Right.
This is a guy, let's be honest, has been a bit part player at the last two clubs, and certainly at this club for, 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. If you take it back to these other American sides, and there's been a lot of good players, most of them, Casey included, were all playing regular at a high level at top clubs, a lot of them. And so they had that experience to take forward. Yes, a lot of these guys are playing at a decent level. You know, Tyler Adams at Leeds and, got 1 or 2 in the Championship. Some playing in Germany, actually, young boys that are doing okay. But I think the other teams have had guys coming in, and Casey knows better than me, that have been playing more regularly at a more sustained high level.
And maybe having to fight for relegation.
Right.
You know what that does? Fight to stay in that team. I'll take that edge.
Herc, you take a look at it. If the US are going to do well in this tournament, they need their best players to shine. Who are those players?
Christian Pulisic, you guys are talking about Christian Pulisic. He has to be one of those players that has to shine. He's absolutely one of the most talented players that they have, and on his day, 1v1 can cause some damage, regardless if he starts for Chelsea or not. Now, that's out the window. He can't dwell on it. We can't dwell on that. If the U.S. men's national team is to do something, if they are to beat anybody in the world, by the way, in order to do that, to become champions, not only do you have to beat everybody in the world, you have to do it 7 times. Anybody in the world, you have to do it 7 times. You have to be perfect 7 times.
Who else besides Pulisic?
Well, you're going to talk about guys like Moreno, who has the highest ceiling, who could start, come off this bench. A very young player, very good in 1v1, tight spaces,
Who's the best
very
player?
creative. Moreno is the best player this year's management has. He's the best player, and
yet he's not starting?
and he probably has the best mentality out of them all. That's the one issue with Christian Pulisic that I'm sure the guys on the panel will comment on as well, is mentally his approach to things. Gio Reyna's got that chip on his shoulder that we've only seen with a Clint Dempsey. That I hate everybody sometimes. Me against the world type of mentality. He's probably the only player in this pool that has that.
Yeah, you talk about best players. There's some big question marks with this team as well. Goalie, the number 9. I mean, there's some big issues that Greg Berhalter has to sort out before tomorrow.
Let's take a look, shall we, at the predictions then. Only one person who we asked is going for a US victory, and that's Herculez Gomez.
Oh!
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the game. This is the game you have to win if you're the U.S. men's national team. I just stated that if you were the U.S. men's national team, you had to pick a European opponent, you would pick Wales.
More so than Iran. So you're basically saying
I actually
think Wales is the weakest team in this group? The most accessible 3 points?
I do think for the U.S. men's national team, it is. I think Iran will be a much more difficult task for the U.S. men's national team than Wales. I think this Welsh team can give them maybe some fits in possession, but I think they're going to concede possession. And I think the U.S. men's national team will have more of the ball, the lion's share of the ball, and what they do with that. Ultimately, I think it'll be a cagey match, but it'll be decided on a goal.
Yeah, I think that's why almost all of us went for the draw, right? We've seen Wales play. We know the U.S.
You
has
guys all
issues
went
with
safe.
finishing.
Didn't want to make a decision.
No.
Fine.
Here you were for once out on a ledge.
Casey, you're going for the draw.
Yeah, I have the draw simply because, I mean, when you look at the Welsh side, it's full of Premier League players. It's not a walkover by any means. They've shown in European championships that they can be difficult to beat, that they can play against good teams, frustrate them, and find ways to get results. And in the opening game, I could see a situation where the U.S. has more possession than Wales. They get themselves a little bit out of shape and get hit on a counter and concede a goal. I also see the U.S. scoring a goal as well because I don't think Wales is in England. So that's why I just kind of felt that a draw was steady. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I hope Herc's prediction is right, but what I feel is that this has a draw written all over it.
The US are going to try and play a certain way, and whether he has the players to do that is still a huge question going forward. The Welsh know the team they've got, and have decided they're going to try and get results by just being difficult to beat and hit on the counter and be organised. They know what they are, the Welsh, and that is a team who are hard to play against. They're not trying to win awards for being the best football team in the tournament. They know they can't be. And whether the US try and outplay themselves remains to be seen.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.